What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we're going to get Ada Wong DLC, as well as just other DLC in general. I want to make this a DLC video. I want to also see how many times I can say those three letters, and I'm going to try to stop right now. I'll try to avoid it. No, but this kind of comes off the back of, on Friday, if you guys saw the news that happened on Friday, was that Ada Wong was actually supposed to be in this game. Her character design looks fantastic. I absolutely love it. Everybody's saying, like, very Bloodborne-like, and yeah, that's absolutely right. It looks phenomenal. But the idea was that she was actually going to save Ethan at some point, kind of relatively early in the story of Resident Evil Village, and that she would just I think that would be it. It would just kind of be a very small cameo, but that she would have been in the game because, you know, big things are happening, you know, in this area, and why wouldn't she want to have something to do with it? You know what I mean? So that was cut, okay, and it was cut because of a lot of reasons that Capcom went into, but it was cut from the base game. And so that's kind of our foundation, right? That was supposed to be in the base game. So what I am saying, I'm not saying, like, are we going to get an Ada Wong cut, or at least the Ada Wong cut. We could, and you guys can start that petition if you want. But in reality, what they don't say is, like, well, maybe they cut it with an intention to have her come in later. Now, there's more than one way you could do DLC for this game, okay? And I want to look back at history, and I want to talk about again if we're going to get DLC. So the short answer is yes. I really do think we're going to get DLC. Now, if you go online and try to look this up, like I wanted to cover my bases. I was like, okay, has anybody talked about this? Are there any theories out there of what the DLC could be? Very hard to find, because when you do it, you end up finding, like, the additions of Resident Evil Village. So technically, there is quote-unquote DLC that comes with Village if you get those two higher editions. I don't remember what the middle one is, but I know the higher one's like the Collector's Edition, which has, like, the statue. I think that's sold out, right? But you can get the other. Now, I got the base one. I didn't get anything kind of extra, but technically, some of that extra stuff is considered DLC. So, like, looking it up on YouTube or looking it up on Google actually makes it quite difficult, because you only get people talking about that, like, oh, what's included in Resident Evil's blank edition, right? And it's like, no, that's not what I wanted. But, you know, Resident Evil 7 had DLC. Now, Resident Evil 7 had actually quite a few different DLCs, but they really had just a couple really big story ones, which I believe the first of which released in December, which was 11 months after Resident Evil 7, and we really didn't hear much about it until we got relatively close. So I'm going to predict, I really will, I think we're going to get DLC for Village. I do. I think it's going to, and there's a lot they can do. You know, they have Mercenaries mode. Like, there is things they could even add with that, right? But when I'm talking about DLC, I'm talking about story DLC, whether it be with Chris, or whether it be with Ada, or whether it be with just some random other person. I really do think they're going to add it. This game seems to me like a real, I mean, you can kind of just see it, right? It seems like a really, really big success. A lot of people are enjoying it. A lot of people are playing it. I think it's going to do really, really well for Capcom in terms of sales and in terms of money, and honestly, congratulations, you know, hats off to them. That is absolutely fantastic. And why wouldn't you want to get the most out of that as humanly possible? And by that, again, I do mean by having us pay a little extra money for a couple things. So, you know, the Ada one stands out to me for the simple fact of they had a plan to put her into the game. I almost feel like it's relatively easy to swap some things of how you were originally going to have her and have her in the game. Like, you could do and this would be different. It would definitely be different, and maybe not everybody would like it, but you could easily do a couple hours, like a 2 to 4 hour, you know, DLC pack or a story pack where you play as her. She can have the same outfit. She can be in the village, okay? And she doesn't have to ever interact with Ethan. And you could just, because obviously that part was cut out, that part doesn't exist. But I think you could easily include her character and include her going through just things. You could have her going through things with some of the core villains that we get in this game. You could have her go through things with other people. But I really think the possibility is high, simply for the fact that they were planning it. They already had the sketches and the design. Like, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, they had what she would look like without the mask. They had what she would look like with the mask and with, like, the whole outfit. I mean, that part's already done. And so I know I'm kind of trying to will it into existence, but I really think having her as possible. Again, you could definitely do other stuff. It doesn't have to be sideline is probably the wrong word, but it doesn't have to be in the time period of Village. I don't want to spoil it because I don't know, of people watching this that haven't played the game yet, but I'll say there's a time jump, and I won't say where the time jump is, but let's say there is a really big time jump at some point in this game. There could easily be DLC in that. Now, I think they did that so they could do spin-off games or like anthology games in that time period. That's what I personally think. So probably not DLC, although that doesn't mean that they can't do it. And the timing of it, like when that time jump happens, maybe they don't want to do something like that. But I think it's possible. I think you really can't do anything else. Like, you can't just bring in Leon or you can't bring in Jill. You could. I mean, obviously that would make people pretty happy, right? But to like have them come in, like, it doesn't really make sense why they would be there. Or, I mean, there's ways of doing it, but like I don't think it would flow all that well with the story. At least with Ada, we know now that she was supposed to be there, like investigating. So like while it still would kind of feel to people that never saw this not really leak, because they basically said it, and it's, I think, part of that whatever special edition of the game, like you find that out. So it's not necessarily something that everybody's gonna see. In fact, it's something that very few people, I think, are gonna see. So if you have DLC with her in it, I think you'll still have people that say, oh, you kind of just like plopped her right in, where it's like, well, we were originally going to have her in, and then we kind of wrote her out, and so we're just kind of making amends by doing this. So I definitely think that's possible. You could do stuff with Chris. You could do stuff with Chris. Honestly, you could maybe even do stuff with Chris right before Resident Evil Village, because there is stuff that seemingly was happening. There's a lot of monitoring going on throughout Resident Evil Village, but you could really, I think, have Chris, really a couple parts, I would honestly argue. It doesn't have to be just one part, but I think you could have a DLC where you play as Chris. I won't really say anything else about that because of spoilers, but I think you could do that. But I really think it's almost a slam dunk to do DLC. Again, it's a little bit more different because time periods and certain things that happen in this game, like from beginning to end, does make certain, like, you have to be careful about what you're doing, I guess. But I really think it's a slam dunk that will get some sort of story DLC. And there's quite a few options to do it. There really, really is. I would argue none that revolves around Ethan, and that's just my personal opinion, which is kind of funny that would be the situation. But I think you could do a couple different characters, or you could just do something really, really wild, and I think you could pull off DLC. So we'll have to see how it goes. Like I said, for Resident Evil 7, there was DLC. Funny fact, I guess if you consider it funny, I never played the DLCs. I know what happens in the DLCs, but I never played them. But they came out much, much, much later, and to my knowledge, at least what I remember, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I don't remember Capcom kind of hinting or saying that was going to happen. Maybe that's wrong, but and also, by the way, it's very possible. I'm recording this on Friday. It's possible next week, the week after, it's possible we get some sort of hints that there is going to be DLC. We know there's more Resident Evils. We know there's like a Revelations 3. We know there's going to be Resident Evil 9, all that stuff, but we don't know for sure if they would do DLC for this game. So we'll just have to be patient and see. So let me know, guys, in the comments, what do you think? Do you think there'll be DLC? Who do you think you'd play as? What do you think you would do? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are, again, subscribed to this channel. We're pushing for 50K, doing insanely, insanely good and getting very, very close. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Give the video a like. I've covered Resident Evil Village quite a lot over the past couple days and really last month or two on the channel. And I'm going to be continuing it over the next little while. So if you guys have liked Resident Evil stuff, there's definitely more to come. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.